Achievements. Who doesn't love that little sound notification you get when you complete one of these challenges? I've always been one to try and get as many of these achievements as possible for each of my games. Sometimes they're very easy to complete just by playing through the game. Then there are some that make me want to pull my hair out. This got me wondering, how many achievements could I possibly get with a single playthrough? I thought, what better game to try it with than Baldur's Gate 3, one of my newest obsessions since its release. I've divided up the achievements based on what act I could possibly complete them in. I'll show them on screen now. This playthrough would only be my third time going through the whole game. The first was played on balance, and the second was on explorer, just to experience things I didn't get to before. Now, I have to try and beat this thing on honor mode to get 2 of these achievements, so it's gonna be a bit rough with the added legendary actions and such. One last thing. For the sake of brevity and focusing on the achievement aspect, I won't be mentioning all the equipment or items I pick up along the way. With all that said, let's get our achievement journey started. I decided to go with a tiefling monk named Hunter. I picked tiefling to easily chat with other tieflings in the Emerald Grove later on. I chose monk mainly for the achievement Fists of Fury. However, as you'll soon see, I went a different route. I didn't go with a Dark Urge as I felt the number of Dark Urge specific achievements didn't outweigh the ones I could get with a good playthrough. Anyways, we begin and I grab a chest for help with the first hard achievement, Devil's in the Details. I also recruited us to also help in the upcoming fight. I meet Lae'zel and the 3 of us take on some imps nearby. As you can see, I just missed out on a kill with such low health to start. I decided that there would be more chances later on for easy prey with an unarmed strike. I then set Shadowheart free and take another chest close by. Their purpose is to block off the Cambion backup that Commander Zulk has. So, quick side note, I never knew about being able to switch out spells aside from leveling up, hence why, in my first attempt at this battle, I decided to try and overpower Zulk. I do figure that I can switch Shadowheart's spells later. As you can probably guess, Zulk beat my ass. Not only that, but one of his minions managed to squeeze through the chest wall I built. Next attempt. I chose Cleric instead of Monk for the purpose of the command spell, to just get Zulk to drop his weapon. I do everything the same, except change the location of my chest wall. I do manage to get Zulk to drop his weapon on the first try. This basically neuters him. The fight was in our favor, until one of his minions slipped through again. This spelled the end for this attempt. Unfortunately, in attempt 3, I couldn't get us as I rolled a nat 1. Oops. I also have 3 chests instead of 2 for my wall. Mr. Butterfingers drops his weapon again, and I start the beatdown. After a good back and forth, we beat him, and the first achievement has been completed. It was here that I discover if Zulk is beaten first, the Mind Flare turns on you. I ignore him and the other small fry up ahead to just get off the nautiloid ship, which also gives me my next achievement, Descent from Avernus. After crash landing, Shadowheart and I defeated some intellect devourers, recruited Astarion, curb stomped the trap Mind Flare, and then rescued Gale from a portal and recruited him. I convinced the tieflings to leave Lae'zel alone so I can get her out of her wooden cage. I mistakenly go up the hill to where the group of people at the crypt are and start conversation with them. I fail my persuasion roll, forcing me into battle with them. I wasn't really prepared to fight them, especially when I was really convinced I could talk my way through that encounter. I did what I could, but ultimately that one skill check caused the end of attempt 3. With it still being early on, I decided to restart my run to try and keep honor mode going. I stay with Cleric as my class for attempt 4, and do mostly everything the same. I did actually skip the battle with Zulk. At the time I thought, meh, I proved I could do it, so skipping it will save me the headache. I did attempt to try, but both my command spells failed, so I chose to move on. I also got to save us, so yay. Again, everything goes the same, and when I get back to Lae'zel, I choose to head towards the Emerald Grove instead. Here, I try to get another achievement, Shove Off. But unlucky for me, my Thunderwave spell did too much damage and the fall wasn't what killed her. Oh well, there's more opportunities to make the bad men fly later. We clear out the rest of the goblins and get let into the grove. There is one achievement that requires you to save all tieflings. Leave no one behind. How hard can that be, right? So I go up the hillside to protect Tiefling Nadira from a bugbear assassin and stop the assassination attempt. Next, I chat to Zevlor and get him to not punch a guy in the face. Then it's over to the squabbling siblings, Leah, Cal, and Roland, where I convince them to stay. That part is important for the Tiefling achievement. I meet and recruit Will. I do some more chatting with other Tieflings around camp. When I get to Saza, I know there's an achievement for helping her, but I was under the impression that it would have to be helping her or helping the Tieflings, and I made the choice to go for the Tiefling achievement because apparently I hate myself. Gale tells me he's hungry for some magic items, and I let Lae'zel do her questioning of where to find the Gith Kresh. I almost get pickpocketed by Tiefling children, but when I caught the potential thief, I chose now to get my next achievement, no penny required, and read her thoughts. I ease tension between the Tieflings and the Druids and promise to bring back Arabella to her parents. I chat quickly with Volo before heading in to meet with Kaga. I get her to release Arabella to her parents and then move on to meet and chat with Nettie. She tells me about Halsin being captured by the goblins and I need to rescue him. Don't gotta ask me twice. Next is my chat with Alfira, and I help her with her beautiful song about her teacher. There's another tiefling I have to save, and it's a young boy named Merkin. He's by the water being charmed by a couple of harpies. Now here is where I start noticing a difference in difficulty. When the battle started, a harpy one-shot Astarion, and then another one-shot me. It also didn't help that 3 out of my 4 team members got charmed and couldn't do anything on my turns anyway. It was all downhill from there. I tried what I could, but eventually my whole team and even Merkin got murked. I learned a valuable lesson here. I need to slow down and prepare everything I can to give me an advantage before any known battles. I should have thought about this sooner, but again, I never really struggled with a majority of the fights in prior playthroughs. Better late than never, I guess. Attempt 5. I realized that I should probably make Charisma a prominent stat, so I choose to go with Bard. I do also decide to beat Zulk, seeing how it's a new class. Us even managed to stay alive too. Nothing really changed from the previous attempt, although I did feel confident enough to talk my way through the bandits encounter near the crypt. It went much better this time around. I went back and dealt with the Emerald Grove stuff first before swinging back to the crypts so I could meet the good old Skelly boy Withers. I took care of his visitors and resident Skellies and then sent Withers to camp. I was forcefully invited to dine with the devil Raphael, but I told him to get lost. My next task was to go adopt 2 fur babies in the form of Scratch and the owlbear cub. I had a small accident in the owlbear cave that almost led to me wiping in this attempt. Luckily for me, I made it out by the skin of my teeth. Scratch's encounter was much easier, and I set both of those events in motion. Alright, so I didn't realize I was on my main account when I started recording, so I missed a little bit. But all that happened was I used Disguise Self to turn myself into a drow to make dealing with the goblins easier in the Bladed Village. Now that you're caught up, I beeline it to the apothecary cellar, and my next achievement, Rude, Crude, and Full of Attitude. I use the Find Familiar Cheeky Quasit scroll and name her Basket. We beat the couple skellies that pop up after being too nosy with coffins laying around. I tried using the mirror and forgot that Basket lied to me with one of the answers, causing the mirror to attack us. It's here where something a little unexpected happened. During this fight with more skeletons, it was Basket that got me the next achievement, Fists of Fury. Nice. After the fight, I go back and answer the mirror correctly to get the Necromancy of Thay tome. I also found another dirt mound and got the achievement down here in the cellar, Dig for Victory. I make my way over to the windmill where some goblins have tied the deep gnome Barkus to one of their rotor blades. I tell them to go kick rocks and get him down from there. I move on to deal with the gnolls nearby. I decide to take a long rest, and when I do, Astarion mentions he's a little thirsty. So I let him just have a sip of my blood. Give me the achievement, just a nibble. Up next was recruiting my future love interest for the playthrough, Karlach. We explore some more and come across another pack of gnolls. During this fight, I had Karlach use one hyena to take down another hyena, which gave me the achievement, kill 2 birds with 1 gnome. We make it out in one piece, but I can't say the same for Rugen and Ollie. Oh well. Time to give the harpies another try. Okay, up until this point, I have been fairly careful in not charging headfirst into a battle without preparing a bit first, or doing what I could to put myself in an advantageous position. I get to the beach where they are, and use calm emotions on the party to prevent us from being charmed. I thought, okay, this will make the battle so much easier for me. It started off fine, until tragedy struck. Lady Luck showed me just how foolish I was for believing I was prepared enough. I was unable to get the harpy to stop singing, and when it got to Little Merkun's turn, this happened. God damn it! I had a big decision to make. Do I restart my run after how far I've gotten, or do I cut my losses with the Tiefling achievement and move on with the run? After that devastating loss, I had to turn the game off for the day. When I came back to it the next day, I made my decision to just cut my losses. I accidentally forgot to press record for the first little bit. So the important things you missed were I finished off the harpies, took a long rest, giving me the achievement bedrolls and breakfast finally. I used all alcohol for supplies, which also gave me the bottoms up achievement, and Scratch joined my camp. Now you're all caught up. And I promise I'm gonna try to not make this a regular thing. But accidents happen. I dress in my drow cosplay again and head toward the goblin camp. I noticed there's a goblin on a high ledge and thought maybe here is where I can get my next achievement. Unfortunately, the fall wasn't enough and got us into a brawl with the others nearby. I did knock out the goblin on the other high ledge so that I could guarantee the achievement after. Once the battle was over, I made my way over to her and shoved her off. The achievement didn't trigger right away, which made me wonder why. But while I was looting their stuff, I saw the achievement pop up. Weird. I moved on to the main goblin camp next, where we saw Volo again. Although this time he's become someone's pet. Aw, how cute. I speak to Tracker Klaga and convince him to give us a poem. However, I didn't notice I used the friend's cantrip on him while trying to give myself guidance during my persuasion roll. Once it wore off, I was still near him shopping and it got him mad. It didn't really matter anyways, as I did plan on getting this next achievement here. So this was just a happy accident. They throw me in jail and I immediately break out, granting me the Escapologist achievement. I regroup with the party and go talk to Krola, who is currently in possession of my next baby, the owlbear cub. I was lucky enough to coax the cub over to the goalpost, so that was easy peasy. For torturing that sweet baby, I decided to spike their punch bowl. Down the hatch! After getting away with murder, I head on inside their base. I quickly help out a prisoner who tells me a bit more about Halsin, put on a little show for Leviatur's love, free Volo from his wild romance, and also free Halsin from his prison. I chose to not include Halsin in my party as I wanted to try and be smart about fighting the big three around here. I wanted to be in tip-top shape as well, just in case any silly business happens, so I took a quick nap. Lae'zel almost cut my throat, and then we had a visit from our dream guardian. Once I woke up, Scratch had brought me a ball. Perfect. I play fetch with him, and we get the next achievement, Fetch Quest. Alright, big three time. I chose to deal with Priestess Gut first. I opted to be quick with her, so I drank her sleepy time juice and ended up tied up in her basement. Luckily for me, I have a second guardian as Corilla shows up and takes care of Gut for me, as well as her ogre she had waiting outside my cell. It was also here that I finally decided to use one of those lithid tadpoles to gain the Expand Your Mind achievement. With Gut out of the way, my next target is Minthara. I know I can recruit her, but meh, I didn't really feel like it. Maybe next time, Minthara. She took that personally. I tried to lure them over to the bridge with minor illusion. I rushed trying to get something lined up to take out the bridge, and then I accidentally started talking with her. No biggie though. I just rested up and had everything at my disposal. I knew I wanted to get rid of the pesky floating eye first, but of course I had forgotten it has a bunch of resistances. So when Astarion attacked, it did like one whole damage to it. I got Hunter to go take care of it, but Thunderwave wasn't quite enough. Then, that's when terror struck.
No. Wait. Bye.
I had no idea that these goblins were willing to go all kamikaze. This maniac saw both Karlach and Shadowheart were still on the bridge and thought, hey, 2 birds with 1 gnome, am I right? Then proceeded to throw an acid vial at the bridge, destroying it, taking all 3 characters down into the chasm. Shit. I was so stunned by that choice, and the other thing was that Astarion was now trapped on that side of the battlefield. On top of that, Minthara succeeded on a hold person spell on Hunter. For some reason as well, my scroll of Revivify didn't want to work. Maybe if I had tried a bit more angle-wise, it could have. But I was too shook by what just transpired. I tried to run, but was down before I could make it very far. With Astarion left stranded and surrounded, that was the end of this attempt. I had gotten so far and had yet another big decision to make. Do I continue for the honor mode achievement and restart the whole campaign again? Or do I let another achievement go and continue my progress from here? I stopped recording and took the rest of the evening to weigh my options. The next day, I made the decision to just continue on with my run and abandon the achievement Foehammer. I handled Priestess Gut the same way and then made my way back over to Minthara. This time, I successfully used Minor Illusion to push the floating eye and the 2 nearby goblins into the chasm with Thunderwave. Then went up to start combat with Minthara. Astarion obliterates Rozak with 1 hit. After that was just Minthara's beatdown. She did manage to off me with a multi-attack while being held by the hold person spell. However, that was really all she did. I took all her shit and moved on to my final target, Dror Ragslin. I chose to stealth in and climb up into the rafters for some advantage. I dropped one of the braziers on him for some damage, but didn't realize that 2 people had climbed the same ladder to spot us and start combat. I honestly didn't think that they'd do that, but hey, now I know. It got a little dicey at one point, but I had Shadowheart keeping everyone up and just tried to keep pushing anyone who came up back down. After a while of that, we finally came out victorious. Now that the big 3 are gone, next was clearing out the rest of the camp. With the exception of the front door entrance, which I think I just forgot about, I cleaned up inside and then moved on to the ones outside. I used the waypoints to get to the bridge in front of the camp and used Cloud of Daggers at the choke point, making the party relatively safe. I realized after everyone outside is taken care of that there are a few still left inside. So I go deal with them. I did underestimate them and they did quite a number on my party, but we pulled through. Barely. I ransacked the rest of the place and then head on over to the Tiefling Grove to tell them that they're safe. Once I've spoken to everyone I needed to, like Zevlor and Halsin, it's party time. I do some mingling and confess my feelings for Karlach. We then shared a nice evening under the stars. The next morning, I chat with Volo, and in an attempt of him helping with the tadpole situation in my head, he gouges out my eyeball. Not the most fun way to start my day, but I got a nifty magic eye to let me see invisible creatures, which will definitely help out later. With some story stuff out of the way, it was time I got my next achievement. I went back to the blighted village and made my way into the whispering depths. I easily deal with a couple eder caps and phase spiders and grabbed the spider step boots to give to Astarion. With my party prepared now, I took my time having Astarion sneak around to start picking off the 3 nests of spider eggs around the spider matriarch. They cannot hatch, or else I won't get the achievement. Once the children were taken care of, I could now start combat safely. It was another close battle, but we held out long enough and Mama Spider was finished off with a crit from Karlach. I took a long rest after that fight and was awoken to Shadowheart ambushing Lae'zel. I told him to knock it off and go back to sleep. In the morning, I swapped Astarion for Lae'zel for a while. I brought her with me to go have a chat with Kithrak Voss. I convinced Lae'zel to just play along and lie to him about the artifact to avoid combat. After they left, I moved on to the Underdark. I completed the light puzzle to get to the Selûnite outpost. I let the gate trap take out the Minotaur lurking outside before I smashed the crystal that's keeping the trap set up. This coincidentally gave me another achievement, Role Player. The next achievement caught me by surprise a little. After exploring beyond the gate for a few minutes, I came across the Bulette. It starts off pretty normal with my party all going before the Bulette. I land a hit with Hunter, hit 1 out of 2 hits with Lae'zel, hit a guiding bolt with Shadowheart, and then land both of my attacks with Karlach. Then, I suddenly heard the achievement sound go off, and I saw I got the Action Surge achievement. I just figured it had to be one character to do all 5 attacks, but I guess not. Neat. It might be because all 5 attacks happened in the same bracket of my controlled characters. Anyways, the party laid into the Bulette and actually beat him before he could go running off. We arrived at the Myconid colony and agreed to help Sovereign Spa get rid of the Dwagar by the lake. With the Bulette dead, I opted to bring Sovereign Glut with me to resurrect the big puppy to have as another pet, even if it's just for a short while. We tracked down the Dwagar and made fairly easy work of them. Something I didn't really think about was that after the battle, when I turned on Glut for being an ingrate, he still had control of the Bulette. Well damn, now I gotta kill this thing again. Luckily, it didn't have much health left, and Glut was kind of a pushover, so it wasn't a big deal. It was just an oversight on my part. Before heading back to the colony, I made a pit stop to help Balin Bonecloak. We collected our reward from Spa and decided to take a long rest. We ended up having a nice surprise guest that night, the owlbear cub. One step closer to fully adopting this adorable fuzzball. I had never helped Balon recover with the noble stock before, so I thought, why not try this time? I went back to the Bibberbang patch and easily got rid of the torch with Lae'zel's mage hand. That was the least of my concerns. I honestly thought the spores were only made dangerous because of the open fire, but boy was I wrong. I rushed in with everyone and noticed I was taking damage from the spores. I turned back around to leave, but Shadowheart and I went down. I had Lae'zel rescue both of us and we ran out of this death patch. Just when I thought I was out of the woods, I used my mage hand to go grab the noble stock. However, once I got to where it was, I accidentally clicked the wrong button and it was consumed by the mage hand. Welp, that was something that had never even crossed my mind that could happen. Just get me out of here. I went and took my frustrations out on some nearby hook horrors. They weren't too bad, but I wanted to take one more long rest. Thankfully, this was the night where the owlbear cub came back. I healed the poor baby's wounds and finally had him stay with me at camp. After a nice rest, I head back to the decrepit village to look around for anything I may have missed, and in doing so, I finally got the achievement Bookworm. I take a quick trip to the Arcane Tower and clear that out. Before moving out with the Dwagar boat, I wanted to make sure I was fully rested, so I took one more long rest. I was woken by some concerning sounds. Of course, I had to go investigate. Turns out, it was just one of my babies having a nightmare. Luckily, his protected brother was right there guarding him. I gave both of them some love and got my next achievement, You have two hands for a reason. Alrighty, time to set sail. I got pulled up on, and I was successful at talking my way out of combat just to move on. Once I landed, I went and did some scrounging around for items as usual, and then came across a fiery deep gnome named Philomene. She was ready to blow this place to smithereens, but I managed to talk her out of it. I tried to pickpocket her afterwards, seeing how she was just standing there, but then she just instant transmissioned her way out of there. Next was dealing with the true soul Nier. I made a deal with Elder Brithvar and his gang to aid me in the upcoming battle against Nier. All I had to do was lead away and eliminate the floating eye nearby. Once that was done, I headed back to free Nier from being trapped, just so I could be the one to end him. The battle went pretty smoothly and Nier was defeated. Brithvar unfortunately didn't make it, so the deal was settled with Kirgrath. He wanted to take the deep gnomes with them as their prisoners, but I told him no and to get lost. So he did. Barca showed up and we found out that the friend he was looking for, Wolbrin, was taken to Moonrise. With all that done, I wasn't quite finished here yet. I had my sights set on the next achievement. I disarmed some traps and found a new waypoint. Along with the new waypoint, I also found some animated armors that I quickly dispatched of. I then discovered the Adamantine Forge, which housed two achievements actually, in A Grim Fate and Forged in Blood and Fire. The second one was easy, as I picked up a couple molds and some mithril ore from nearby. The first one was definitely going to be the trickier one. However, I had seen some strategies to make Grim a cakewalk. I figured I could do it too. This strategy involves changing one of my characters into a moon druid, Karlach in my case, the Elixir of Colossus, Enlarge, and the Hiding action, and a character to summon Grim. There are many videos on this tech, and I thought I did everything right, but of course, nope. 4 damage? That's all it did? It was supposed to KO him with one attack. I had to let Lae'zel and Karlach go down so I could revive them and start again. My second attempt somehow went even worse. I missed. I was now out of my Elixir of Colossus. So I sent Gale on a quick scavenger quest to get more ingredients. Once I found what I needed, I actually got another achievement, Homebrewer. I reviewed the strategy one more time, more thoroughly, and realized that I wasn't jumping to the correct spot. I needed to not have him targeted and needed to aim my jump directly behind him so that as I was landing, I clip his head. After learning my mistake, I went for attempt 3, and this time...
And his name is John C.
It finally worked! A grim fate indeed. Now for the easy part. I made my way over to where I had placed my scale mail armor mold and retrieved my prize, the Adamantine scale mail. My business had concluded in the Underdark. I don't have any more achievements planned out for Act 1, but before moving on to Act 2, I did want to take on one more fight. Now that I had some levels and equipment under my belt, I felt confident enough to take on the wretched hag, Auntie Ethel. I gave Shadowheart a break and took Gale with me instead. I showed up at Auntie Ethel's place, told Mayrina that she killed her brothers, and then a fight broke out. I brought Gale to try the arcane lock trick, but I didn't do it properly. Oh well. I wailed on Auntie and got her down pretty low. I thought my spikes would slow her down, but it also slipped my mind that she would just misty step right over it. Well, shit. That's fine though. I finished off her little red cap minions outside before following her into her hidden basement. She had some more minions waiting for me, so I took care of them pretty easily. I navigated through her poison traps and found where she's keeping Mayrina held hostage. Ethel's invisible to hide herself, but 2 can play at that game. I used a potion of invisibility on Lae'zel and cast invisibility on myself. Using Vol's magic eye he gave me, I could see Ethel, but she couldn't see us. Lae'zel would start combat and I went to release Mayrina. I made sure to bring the Susser Greatsword to silence Ethel and hinder her spellcasting. When I went to use the orb to lower Mayrina's cage, nothing happened. I got slightly concerned, so I brought Gale over to toss some water on the fire, but apparently I missed? Oh well. I'm just going to focus on ending Ethel as fast as I can. I was hoping to get her to surrender so I could get a free stat buff, but I was unsuccessful. Thankfully though, the cage did eventually lower and Mayrina was freed. After dealing with a few more of Ethel's clones, I finally put an end to her for now. We chat with Mayrina and help her revive her husband. Well, sorta. I send her and her hubby on their merry way while I finish looting Ethel's place. After that, I took a big snooze and looked at my map to make sure I didn't forget anything before finally moving on to Act 1.5 and 2. Let's take a quick look at our progress with achievements. We are at 22 out of 54 achievements. Not too shabby for only completing Act 1. I got all the achievements I was aiming for. However, we did have to let go of 3 achievements for later on due to miscalculations and missteps. Not too great, but hey, I was expecting some hiccups with it being my first honor mode playthrough. So, that's it for part 1 of my Baldur's Gate 3 Achievement Run. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed it. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll catch you in part 2.